All right, the Wofford Terriers take on UNC-Greensboro, and that's going to be a 6 p.m. Eastern tip-off. On Monday, January 10th, 2022, Wofford is -3 with a total at 125.5. And if you want to see all of my personal bets for today, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for my board member package on brockpage.com. And once again, board members on my website get access to every single bet that I'm making all the way through the end of January. And actually, if you were to sign up for my board member package here today, the math would actually work out to be just $2.27 a day all the way through the end of the month. And I'll tell you this much, at an average of 5 premium sports picks per day, it'll actually work out to be just around 45 cents a pick. And of course, if you're getting ready for the big national championship here tonight in college football, we also have a college football tier membership where we are currently 6-1 in our last 7 picks in that very category. So if you want to see who I'm betting on in tonight's college football national championship, there's only one way to do that, and that's to either sign up for my board member tier, or you can sign up for my college football tier membership, and the link for both of those packages is located in the description section below. Now, when it comes to this Wofford-Greensboro game, it's actually the Wofford Terriers who have a winning record on the road this year, and they're holding their opponents to just 65 points a game, playing some pretty good defense in Wofford. The Terriers have also covered the point spread in 8 out of their last 10 meetings with the Greensboro Spartans, and they currently lead the entire country in defensive rebounding. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Max Klesmit is averaging over 15.5 points a game, along with a couple of boards. Meanwhile, B.J. Mack is drilling nearly 46% of his 3 balls, and he's averaging nearly 15 points a game himself. Now, Wofford is averaging over 76 points a game as a team, so they've had little problems getting to the hoop. They're taking on a Greensboro squad who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5. And they averaged just 57 points a game offensively during that stretch. Now, equally as bad, the Spartans are shooting just 41% from the field on their home court. And when it comes to the total in this one, 4 out of Greensboro's last 5 home games did fall under the posted number. The Spartans also went 5-2 to the under in their last 7 ball games at any location. Meanwhile, Wofford, on the other side of things, they saw 5 out of their last 9 fall under the line themselves, and those were unders against the likes of Coastal Carolina, Richmond, and Georgia during that span. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Wofford -3 and the under 125.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Illinois-Chicago versus IUPUI, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. The Illinois-Chicago Flames are the 8-point favorite on the road with a total at 124. Now, the Flames did lose 7 out of their last 9 ball games, and they successfully covered the number only 3 times during that stretch. So certainly some bad stuff going on here with UIC. Having said that, though, UIC did get the W in 6 out of their last 9 head-to-head meetings with IUPUI, and they're also limiting their opponents this season to just 31% shooting from beyond the arc. So we got some good stuff going on defensively, and if you're into historical trends, well, we're certainly leaning toward UIC in that particular category as well. Now, offensively, Demaria Franklin is scoring nearly 17 points a game, along with 8 boards for UIC. Meanwhile, Zion Griffin is scoring nearly 12 points a game himself, along with 4 boards and nearly 40% shooting from 3 land. Now, they're taking on an IUPUI team who lost their last 6 straight, and they actually have just 1 win all season. And as bad as the Jaguars had been in the win-loss column, they also failed to cover the point spread in 8 out of their last 10 outings as well. The Jags are amongst the worst scoring teams in all of Division I. They're averaging a pitiful 50 points a game, and they're shooting just 36% from the field. This is an IUPUI program who's just been awful offensively this year. Now, total-wise, no real surprise here. 10 out of the Jaguars' last 11 ball games fell under the posted total. Meanwhile, UIC went 4-1 to the under in their last 5 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Illinois-Chicago -8 and the under 124. Next matchup should actually be a good one here. I'm talking about Western Carolina versus East Tennessee State. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at Freedom Hall Civic Center. Now, the East Tennessee State Buccaneers, they are -9.5 with the total at 149. The Bucs have won 5 out of their last 7 home games, and they're limiting their competition to just 27% shooting from three-land in front of their home fans. Having said that, though, the Bucs have done a poor job of covering the point spread this season. They failed to cover in 7 out of their last 9 ball games, and they also posted a record of just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 on their home court. Now, ETSU is averaging only 69 points a game offensively, and they're making only 42% of their field goals. They're going up against a Western Carolina team who scores 77 points a night themselves, and they're successfully covering the point spread in 5 out of their last 8. Nick Robinson is scoring over 15 points a game, along with 7 boards and a couple of assists. Meanwhile, Travion McCray is averaging almost 11 points a game himself, along with 5 boards and 3 assists. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 5 out of the Catamounts' last 7 ball games got over the posted total. Meanwhile, East Tennessee State, they went 5-3 to the over in their last 8 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Western Carolina +9.5 and the over 149. Next contest, it is going to be South Dakota versus North Dakota, and that's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The South Dakota Coyotes are -5 away from home with the total at 147.5. But despite being favored on the road in this one, the Coyotes are currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they also failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 8 outings. As a matter of fact, the South Dakota Coyotes have been horrible in their road games this year, going 0-5 straight up in their contests as the official road team. Now, South Dakota is allowing over 80 points a game when traveling, certainly struggling defensively away from their home court. Now, they're also letting their opponents make nearly 44% of their three-pointers against them in that same category. They're taking on a North Dakota team who's scoring 75 points a game on their home court. Now, the North Dakota Fighting Hawks are led by Paul Bruns, who's scoring over 13.5 points per contest, along with 4 rebounds and nearly 40% shooting from three-land. And speaking of three-pointers, senior Mitchell Swaker is drilling nearly 44% of his 3 balls, and he's also averaging almost a dozen a game. The Fighting Hawks got the W in 6 out of their last 10 meetings with South Dakota. So if you're into historical trends, well, you may want to think about leaning toward the Fighting Hawks in this one. Now, total-wise, North Dakota did see their last 3 straight all get over the posted number, 5-2 to the over in their last 7. Meanwhile, the South Dakota Coyotes went 4-2 to the over in their last 6 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward North Dakota +5. And the over 147.5. All right, next matchup. It is going to be North Dakota State versus Denver, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The North Dakota State Bison are -5.5 with the total at 138. And as good as the Bison have been here recently, they have done a poor job of covering the point spread. And as a matter of fact, the Bison failed to cover in their last 3 straight, and they also went just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Now, the Bison have also been anemic offensively away from home. They're averaging just 59 points offensively, and that's on the road. And they're also shooting only 35% from the field in their road games as well. They're squaring off against a Denver Pioneer team who got the W in 5 out of their last 7 home games. They're playing some pretty good basketball in front of their home fans. Now, the Pioneers are also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 at home, and they're limiting their competition to just 26% shooting from three land at the Hamilton Gym. KJ Hunt is the leading scorer here on this Pioneers squad with over 16 points a game along with 4 boards and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Coben Porter is drilling 44% of his 3 balls, and he's averaging just about double-digit points a game. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, Denver saw contests recently with UC San Diego, Dixie State, and Texas State fall under the posted number. Meanwhile, North Dakota State, on the other side of things, they saw 5 out of their last 7 road games fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Denver Pioneers plus 5.5 and the under 138. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Oregon versus Oregon State. And that's going to be a 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Oregon Ducks are minus 4.5 away from home with the total at 137 and a hook. Now, the Ducks are currently on a 2-game winning streak, and they've recently beaten the likes of Utah, Pepperdine, and UC Riverside. Now, Oregon is holding their opponents to just 66 points a game defensively. Meanwhile, scoring-wise, when it comes to the offensive end of the court, Will Richardson scoring over 13.5 points a game, along with 3 boards and 45% shooting from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, Davion Harmon is averaging double-digit points a game himself, along with 2 boards and a couple assists. Now, Oregon is taking on an Oregon State Beaver team who lost 10 out of their last 13 this year, and they also have themselves a losing record at home. As a matter of fact, the Beavs are covering the point spread in only 25% of their home games, and they're also giving up 74 points a game in front of their home fans, certainly struggling against the point spread, and they're struggling defensively on their home court this year. And I'll tell you what, if poor defense isn't bad enough, the Beavs are averaging only 68 points a game offensively, and they're making just 31% of their three-pointers. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, no real surprise here. Oregon State saw unders against the likes of UC Davis and Penn State recently. And of course, if you're into historical trends, Oregon State went 10-3 to the under in their last 13 contests hosting the Ducks. So that goes back, a handful of seasons. But once again, if you're into historical trends, especially in these conference games, you may want to think about that one there. Now, the Ducks, on the other side of things, they saw unders recently against the likes of Pepperdine, Houston, and St. Mary's. I'm going to lean toward the Oregon Ducks minus 4.5 and the under 137 and a hook. All right, next ball game. It is going to be San Diego versus Pepperdine, and that's going to be a 10 o'clock Eastern start time. The Pepperdine Waves are minus 4 with the total at 144. And despite a rough start to the year, it's actually Pepperdine who won 4 out of their last 6 ball games, and they currently find themselves with a 6-2 straight-up record at home. Now, the Waves successfully covered the point spread in 5 out of their last 7 home games as well. They're led by Jan Zidek, who's scoring over 12.5 points a game along with 3 rebounds. Meanwhile, Houston Mallett is averaging just about a dozen points a game himself, along with 3 rebounds. Now, Pepperdine has been pretty good offensively at home. They're scoring 75 points a game in front of their home crowd this year. Meanwhile, defensively, they're limiting their competition to just 30% shooting from 3 land at the Firestone Fieldhouse. So don't let their overall record fool you. A lot of good things happening for Pepperdine on their home court. Now, they're taking on a San Diego team who lost their last 2 straight, and they also failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 9. Now, the Toreros are also just 1-4 straight up in their last 5 road games, and they have averaged only 64 points per game in those road contests. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, San Diego went 6-3 to the under in their last 9 ball games. Meanwhile, Pepperdine went 10-5 to the under in their last 15 themselves. Plenty of unders to go around between these 2 ball clubs. I'm going to lean toward Pepperdine minus 4 and the under 144. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we're currently 6-1 in our last 7 college football tier package picks. I like Wofford minus 3, under 125.5. UIC -8 under 124. Western Carolina +9.5 over 149. North Dakota +5 over 147.5. Denver Pioneers +5.5 under 138. Oregon Ducks -4.5 under 137 and a hook. Pepperdine -4 under 144. And as far as all the other games go across the country here on a Monday night, I'm going to lean toward Winthrop -5 over 134.5. Give me Army +9 under 152. I also like South Carolina State -1.5 under 150. American University +8 under 129.5. Loyola Maryland -6 over 141. The Lehigh Mountain Hawks -5.5 under 139. I also like Lafayette +10 under 135. Give me Florida A&M -2 over 135.5. I also like Bethune-Cookman +4.5 under 135. Give me Alabama A&M +2 under 116 and a hook. I'm also leaning toward UMKC, that's Missouri, Kansas City, -9.5 over 143. I also like Prairie View, -12 over 148. Give me Texas Southern, -19 over 148. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward Alabama State +2 and the under 135. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up, and then the first of every month if you continue to opt in. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And once again, guys, if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on that website, you may want to think about signing up for my board member package. But most importantly, guys, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.